Welcome to US Tzu Chi 360. I'm Niels Lecomte, and today I'm reporting to you from Paris, France. And I'm in this beautiful restaurant here with Deborah to talk about veganism and vegetarianism in France, and also organic agriculture, which is a movement that has spread out a lot in these past years in France. So welcome, Deborah. I should say thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you for coming.
How did you come to veganism? How did you come to opening a restaurant that is vegan?
When I was a child, I became very sensitive to the fact that animals have an interest in their own life, and I didn't want to interfere in what another being could experience. And so I stopped using animal products little by little. First meat, and then fish, and then egg, and then milk. My feeling is that animals really have their own lives to live, and I have my own life to live, and so we should mutually live peacefully together. So that was how I became a vegan. It was quite simple, quite logical. And I got very into organic agriculture because I wanted my children to have food that was healthy, not tainted with things that were not good for us. I also wanted for the families of farmers to not have to use pesticides, which render them ill, which make their children ill. So I thought, if I don't want them for my children, I don't want other children exposed.
And how did you finally organize the Paris Vegan Day, the first day in Paris for vegans?
When I moved back to Paris in 2009, two of my children had just graduated from college, and all together we said, nothing much is going on here in Paris, let's do something. And so we opened up a cooking school, a vegan cooking school with a B&B. It was the world's first urban vegan B&B, so it was fun. It was exciting. We had dinners all the time, and people kept calling, wanting to come and have dinner, and at a small B&B we couldn't, so we finally said, let's open a restaurant. World Vegan Day was coming up, which is November 1st, and I said, let's do a vegan festival. Because we are now in a system where everybody can live like this. It's just a very generous, ethical, ecological way of doing things. And a lot of people, I think, now are starting to think about this and say, if we can live like this, can't we be generous? Can't we not cause suffering?
So Deborah, I'll suggest we go to see what happened during the Paris Vegan Day and how it was a big event. In fact, the most impressive and the most powerful Paris Vegan Day.
For the first time, it's right by the Seine River, in the center of Paris, that the Paris Vegan Day was hosted, in La Cité de la Mode et du Design, chosen because thousands of visitors were expected to explore the vegetarian and vegan world.
Est-ce que vous connaissez déjà les produits?
You can eat vegan without being organic.
Plutôt en bio, en particulier.
And you can eat organic without being vegan.
How to make something healthy, fast and tasty.
Très bon.
Méditerranée, exotique, et de vous permettre d'avoir un spectre très très grand de variétés.
The aim of the Paris Vegan Day is to provide a very large biodiversity of goods, saying that you can be vegan without being ill. Many people think that if you are vegan, you are very weak. So there are so many people running the marathon, and they are in a very wonderful health.
Today we brought vegan products in order for people to try them and buy them cheaper than in regular shops. We really encourage people to try new products and see how they like it. When I started 4.5 years ago, we were alone. No one else had any vegan shops, and now it's been 2 years and it's expanding. Every single month now, people reach out to us. They want to open up a vegan store or have a food truck where they cook vegan food, vegan fast food, vegan restaurants, vegan pastry shops. It's booming. They have seen how successful it's been for us in the past few years, and now they want to do the same by combining their vegan philosophy with their jobs.
What we want to do is also to reduce by 99% the risk of GMOs in what we eat. So not only are we making something vegetarian or vegan, but we want to promote something ethical. We only work with organic produce, so it's good for health and respectful of the planet in which we live. The reasons for eating a vegetarian diet are really different from one country to another. Here in France, yes, we want to eat organic because it's healthy, but we want to eat something because it's good, because we enjoy it. When in places like Germany, for example, it's more for environmental reasons rather than so much about the taste. We have to do both, protect nature and make something good.
The Paris Vegan Day reunites vegans, vegetarians, environmentalists, animal rights activists, and this year, for the first time, the Paris Tzu Chi chapter's members, also part of the vegetarian movement going on in Paris.
It was very surprising for us that in France there was not a lot going on about vegetarianism. Now there is this big event in which we want to participate with Tzu Chi here. So next year we will be back not only as spectators but with a stand where we'll introduce Tzu Chi's philosophy.
Along with the Paris Tzu Chi volunteers, thousands of people came to the event. Many were not vegetarian or vegan, but willing to discover that the spirit goes above and beyond food, even in some strange kind of art.
This is not a job, it's more of a passion. I'm a sculptor on fruits and vegetables. I have been doing this for about 10 years, so I sculpt watermelon, pumpkins, melons, and other fruits and vegetables. I'm not a vegan myself, even if I totally agree with the principles, but today here we all share the same love for the vegetable world. And I'm in love with vegetable myself, so it's perfect for me to share with people and to show people that besides what you have on your plate, the decoration is really important. And if you have a good table decoration, you are likely to enjoy the food even more. So that's why I'm here today.
We met with Kristen, a young American lady who came to bring back a forgotten kind of cabbage in France.
I moved to France in August 2011 for my husband's job. He's European, so we were coming to spend some time on his side of the pond for a while. I was born in Pittsburgh and I spent 5 years in New York working in advertising. And when we got to France, I didn't speak any French. I do now, at least I'm trying. And because of that, I couldn't find a job, and I also couldn't find kale. So I did a lot of research and asked a lot of people, French and expats, and I thought that I would start a project that basically was trying to reintroduce this forgotten vegetable back into France. It just started with very simply with just a website and trying to create a community of people that would be interested in the vegetable just through social media. And then I also work with local French farmers and restaurants in Paris to grow and then use the vegetable. And then I also do events like Paris Vegan Day or things with other organizations for tastings to get people to experience the vegetable. A few weeks ago, the New York Times did do an article about the project and about just the whole journey that it's been from, a year ago there were 0 markets that sold kale, and today in France you can find kale, as of today, in 22 places. The French reaction has been mostly positive, actually. People are becoming more aware of what they put into their bodies and what they eat and how they're even treating the earth and living their life to be more respectful of the planet we live on. Everything's connected, and our lives, it's a holistic experience. And so in France, I think definitely the whole idea of the green movement is growing.
The movement of vegan or less meat or less fish movement is very increasing in France. So there are vegan people and people who are not vegan but they want to eat another way.
Nous pouvons observer parce que ce mouvement.
We observe that this movement, which is generational, exists now in every country. In Italy, in France, in Spain, in Germany, in Switzerland. It's truly everywhere now.
La Suisse, c'est complet.
So Deborah, we saw how many people came and new initiatives at the Paris Vegan Day.
It's part of that movement, but that movement also is turning to a really good kind of cuisine, a really good kind of how to cook food with good produce and do something really good, but still vegan or vegetarian.
Absolutely.
How do you combine both?
Well, actually, I did an experiment a couple of years ago during another Paris Vegan Day festival. I was going to be cooking meals, and I brought a basket of fruits, vegetables, spices, and this type of thing, and I showed it to the audience, and I said, what type of cuisine do you think this is for? Every time, people picked it out. Every time. They knew, and for the French ones, they actually could tell me what region of France I was, what kind of cuisine I was doing. Because in actuality, a cuisine is really described not by the meat and vegetables, it's by the spices, the fruits, it's not by the meat products. So this means something nice for us, that almost every cuisine of the entire world, with perhaps the exception of the Inuit, where there were very few vegetables, can actually be made into a vegan form. Meat, cheese, fish, we can replace either the texture or the savor by other products. Sometimes they're called faux meats. Sometimes we actually make cheeses with nuts, with soy milk. You can make all types of things, and they're making more and more today. So in actuality, I just take any dish and I say, how can I make this into a vegan dish? People think that there's a sacrifice, but I have found it's been the opposite. It sends you onto a culinary adventure of finding fruits, vegetables, spices, things that you would just normally not even know about. And so I think people actually gain more. And life is an adventure, and the culinary part is a good part of it. So
Jean Montagal, who is one of the first grand chefs of vegetarian cuisine and organic produce.
Yes, absolutely. He's a wonderful man. He has courageously supported the beginning, I'd say, of organic agriculture in France, several decades ago, and was like the pioneer for vegetarian cooking on a higher level. So he's been sort of a big figure and a fabulous cook. I was able to get a sample of it recently. It was wonderful.
So let's go meet him.
Okay.
Let's go meet Jean Montagal, one of the first chefs of vegetarian cuisine in France.
Comment vas-tu? Alors, concombre libanais, tu n'en as plus, hein?
Et j'ai vendu la pièce complète il y a...
I was born in the south of France and started my cooking career at the cooking school of Nice in 1961. During that time, there were only a couple of books about vegetarian cuisine. I remember they had been written by an old man who was a soldier during World War I. And during that war, he was gassed at the front line. Everyone told him he was going to die, but he ended up living until he was 98 years old because he was vegetarian and had adopted a perfectly healthy lifestyle.
En adoptant une alimentation végétalienne et une hygiène de vie parfaite.
Les radis sont bien?
Radis très bien. Juste goûter ce qu'il faut.
Tu m'en mets un paquet.
Allez, bonjour messieurs dames. Faites-vous plaisir.
Une de mes filles avait un problème d'eczéma.
It all started because one of my daughters developed eczema. We were all just starting to become vegetarian and reduced our milk intake. Her eczema completely disappeared, so we were convinced to continue along that path. So at the beginning, it was for health reasons. But then, when you stop eating meat products, there is what I call an elevation, spiritually. You don't feel the same way. You think in a different way. You realize that meat consumption at an industrial level is terrible for our environment. You just have to look at countries that produce soy in order to feed breeding animals. You see how bad that is for the planet.
Industrialisation de la viande. Non, c'est un producteur local, donc les produits sont de qualité et de proximité, ce qui est important. Alors, il y a une tendance qui...
That idea has been developing for the past years. Eating seasonal produce, and most importantly, produce grown locally. Not only globally do we need to reduce our meat consumption, but we need to eat seasonal fruits and vegetables produced locally, because for the environment, if we keep eating beans that come from far away in Africa or strawberries that come from Chile, we will rapidly ruin our planet. When I became a cooking teacher, we still had to talk about how to cook meat in class. So I always started my lessons saying, everything that I am going to tell you, you have to know it. But after, you will have to make a choice of your own. Me, I stopped eating all kinds of meat.
J'ai fait le choix de ne pas consommer de viande.
Both in his daily life and in his career, Chef Jean Montagnard has the same philosophy, a healthy lifestyle in which the way you eat has to be respectful of the environment we live in. For over 25 years, he has been teaching vegetarian cuisine in France and in many other countries. He was the first chef to open 3 vegetarian restaurants in France, at a time when vegetarianism was not as popular as it is today.
When I opened my first restaurant in Menton, in the south of France in 1978, people thought we were some kind of hippies. It was completely marginalized.
Très marginal.
But today, Jean Montagnard is invited to cook in one of Paris's most famous restaurants on the Champs-Élysées, the Fouquet's.
Max, il me reste la pâte à pissaladière, ça t'intéresse? Ça non. Il suffit d'aller dans ce restaurant et de...
Before, if you went to a restaurant in France saying, I would like a vegetarian menu, you would get the ordinary salad, maybe an omelet, or steamed veggies if you were lucky. But to really conceive a vegetarian menu in France, that was really complicated, because before, even the dietitians were saying that everyone should eat at least 100 grams of protein, either fish or meat at every meal, plus 2 eggs, plus the cheese. So there was a consumption of animal proteins that was completely abnormal. So today on the menu, we have appetizers called pissaladière, barbe jaune, olive cream with cherry tomatoes.
Là, c'est un gâteau de légumes couscous qu'on va mettre au four en cuisson pour faire un test.
J'ai reconnu chez Jean l'homme qu'il était déjà et qu'il est encore de porte-parole.
When I met Jean Montagnard, he was really the first one, the pioneer of organic and vegetarian gastronomy. The way he cooks is like an art. He's bringing vegetarianism to another level. He's creating dietary harmony, associating vegetables and cereals. So for me, as a health educator and nutritionist, it's wonderful to see that. He's showing the world that you can eat perfectly healthy, be vegetarian, and eat something really pleasing and tasty.
Végétarienne et gustative et agréable.
Before, vegetarian cooking books never really worked in France. But now, things have changed, and I was asked to publish a new book in a really well-known publishing house. It's called Grande Cuisine Vegetarian.
With that book, for the first time, vegetarianism was being considered great cuisine. We are not considered some kind of green hippies, and we are moving towards fine cooking that is accessible to everyone. Now it's really likely that the most famous restaurants in France will develop a vegetarian menu following Jean Montagnard's recipes, because we see that every day there are more and more people who ask to eat that way in normal restaurants.
When you become a vegetarian, you are more sensitive to the animal cause, to your environment. You take care of your health better, and it opens your spiritual world. This healthy lifestyle gave me more energy.
Beaucoup plus d'énergie. Je pense que si on veut pas
Now I know that we have to slowly transition to this. We know that we can't keep wasting our resources, eating meat and wasting that much. Otherwise, one day, we will have to change our eating habits because we won't have a choice. So the idea for me is to tell people to start changing now, slowly, with pleasure and joy, instead of being forced by circumstances with cataclysms, hunger, and natural disasters.
Ou par des famines qui nous amèneront à, de toute façon, changer notre alimentation.
Vous savez, l'impact...
Let's be honest. The impact of the vegetarian cuisine here today, if you look at the entire world, on the Richter scale, it's really small. But if you understand that collective consciousness starts with each and every individual's actions, then every single human being who becomes aware of his or her impact on the living world, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, then we will change the world.
Je suis d'un tempérament.
I'm really optimistic. I ban all pessimism, eating vegetarian, organic, avoiding polluting your health with tons of medicine, chemicals, having a healthy lifestyle. Not only do you live happier, but you have a good impact on your environment and the planet.
Today, it's quinoa that we cook like a rice pudding, with a corn flour crumble, with stewed figs, served with fresh figs and vanilla ice cream. Everything organic.
L'alimentation bio commence enfin à être prise au sérieux. Plus respectueuse de l'environnement, mais aussi pour notre santé et notre bien-être.
So we saw how Jean Montagnard can do both, balance vegetarian cuisine and really good cuisine, and he was at one of the best restaurants in Paris, the Fouquet's, and he's doing that on a daily basis as well. Is it the symbol of something? Is there really a movement going on? Is there something changing in French mentalities?
Absolutely. I would say that although vegetarianism has existed for several decades in France, it remained an extremely alternative movement. Whereas in the last 4 to 5 years, with the movement in the United States getting bigger and the French people becoming very involved in animal protection, it was evident that for a country that loves cuisine so much, that out of all of that would be born a mix of great cuisine and respect for animals. We'll see more and more people who are just discovering that they can live really well and have the best of both, ethics and pleasurable art de vivre.
Thank you so much for having us here, Deborah.
You're welcome.
And maybe I'll see you in the US next time.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching us, and try to double think every time you're about to eat how impactful you can be to your environment and to the entire planet. I'm Neil Secount in Paris, France, and I'll see you next time.